So in the previous section, we established the importance of a verb, because everything revolves around verb. If there is no world of action, where is the need for language? Assuming all of us are in coma, why do you need a language? Only because we are all engaging in action, we actually need a language. So in that way, if you think, verb is very important. And the previous discussion also established the importance of verb in Karakas and so on. So language is required only when we are in action, right? If one is engaged in an action, then there is no need for language. So several aspects of linguistics revolve around the action. The importance of the verbs is further amplified by the fact that several of the noun roots are also derived from the verb roots only in Sanskrit. So it's all the more important. Many nouns come out of verbs also. So therefore, in any case, verbs are going to be very important. Another thing, in Sanskrit we find several synonyms for a word, and in such cases, each synonym for a word is derived from a dhatu in such cases. So with a good knowledge of dhatu is the verbal root actually. So with a good knowledge of the dhatus, we will be able to make sense of the synonyms themselves. And the unique meaning the word derives from a particular synonym because they came from a particular dhatu. I will give an example, otherwise we don't understand this concept, because this significantly increases the power of the language. Because one can now choose among the synonyms, we can decide to choose a particular one which is so appropriate for the context in which we want to actually express, and therefore we'll use that particular word. So this is why we need to know the verbs and the verb basically where from they are coming and so on. Let us take the example of fire. Fire, when you derive it from the verb and get several synonyms out of it, there are several possible. I will give you 3-4 of them to just get a sense of. One word for fire is vannihi. This is derived from the dhatu vah. Vah means to carry. When we need to communicate fire in a sense of a carrier, as in the case of ahuti being offered, or when fire is spreading widely and so on and so forth, we may want to use the word vanni because it has a tendency to carry and so on. So that is one word for agni. So the second example is pavakaha, which is derived from the dhatu pui. Pui, actually the tag we have to remove pu. Basically you have to take pu, meaning to purify. Pu means to purify. So when we need to discuss the role of a fire as a purifying agent, then this synonym may be better. This will be an appropriate synonym to use. There is a third synonym for fire, which is sushma, and the dhatu is susha actually. So it means to dry or shrink. That's the meaning of the dhatu susha. So fire plays the role of drying air, water, etc., or it shrink organic objects. You put, they make pickles and then leave it on the sun. The pickles become very dry and shrunk. We put some cooked items also, to preserve it for a longer time. We actually put it on the sun and then, shrink it. That time don't use vanni, use sushma, because that is exactly the meaning there. So wherever you are talking about using heat to evaporate the water by virtue of heat it possesses and so on, in such context one can use the word sushma, because that exactly is the idea of that. And another example for agni is dahanaha. The dhatu is dah meaning to convert or burn to ashes. So when we need to communicate the power of fire to burn off objects, this synonym will communicate that idea more appropriately. So knowing these verbs is very important. We can very appropriately use words, and that conveys, instead of using too many words, if you use the word and people know where from this word is coming, it has a very good power of articulation. That's why verbs are important. There is another thing about verbs which is best explained with a diagram. Let us look at the diagram first and then try to understand what is coming out of this diagram. See, I have taken that kr dhatu, okay, and you find several forms of kr here. It says apakaroti, upakaroti, utkaroti, prakaroti, pratikaroti, pratyupakaroti, anukaroti, samskaroti, vyakaroti, nirakaroti, adhikaroti. So many different versions that we have. What is happening is do, kra is do, but when you attach a prefix, so far we are talking of suffix, now it is prefix. When you attach a prefix, what happens is meaning changes. Apakaroti, apa means away, so apakaroti means take it away. Upa means closer, so upakaroti means bring it near. See, if you do upakara for somebody, what it means is you only make that job better by doing things which are closer to what is required. That's why it is called upakara actually. Okay. Utkaroti, then you have what is called, you take another example, you say nirakaroti. Nirakaroti means what you do opposite of it, which means I disagree with you. That's why I say I do nirakara. I don't agree with what you are saying, what your act. That is called nirakaroti. So by attaching prefixes, what is happening is the power of using the verbs goes up, the scope goes up. There are 22 prefixes in Sanskrit. They can be used to make verb even more expressive, even more powerful. We will see some of the guiding principles of this using prefix to a verb. There are some things happen when you attach a prefix. Original meaning of the word is further strengthened or emphasized. For example, smarati means remembers. If you add a prefix some means good. So samsmarati means remembers very well. That is the meaning. So you can add a prefix to further strengthen the meaning or create an emphasis. That's the first possibility. Second possibility is that bring an expanded improvisation of the original intent itself. Just now I showed you karoti. You can put so many different prefixes, upa and apa and all that I showed you just now. All these bring a very expanded improvisation of the original content. Upa means closer, apa means away, all that I spoke about. That is the second possibility. The third thing, sometimes it can be used to bring the opposite meaning of what the original thing is. So, karoti is does, pratikaroti is doing exactly nullifying it. Pratikara, don't do pratikara. Means, you do the opposite of it. Gachati, agachati, goes, comes in the opposite direction, no? That kind of thing. So it gives opposite meaning. There is another way you can use prefixes. And last one is, please understand, you can actually attach more than one prefix. Now the power gets even more stronger. For example, there is this pratyupakaroti. There is an example of pratyupakaroti here. So there are two prefixes, prati and upa. By putting prati and upa, you are only making it even more expressive and all that. So these are some of the interesting things about verbs. So therefore, all that I want to say is verbs can be converted into nouns, create synonyms which give expressive power for the language. Verbs can be attached with prefixes, and then you can enlarge the scope of using verbs, meaning, improvise, strengthen, emphasize. That's why it's a very compact language. These features are so unique to Sanskrit language, and the way we use verbs are very powerful. That's what I wanted to show through this video. We will have one last discussion in this module of linguistics, and that is, given all these structures, can it help for some of the modern applications? That we will see in one more video that we will have.